Imagine walking to your mailbox on an ordinary afternoon. Mixed in with grocery flyers, utility bills, and advertisements is a plain envelope with one familiar name in the corner: the Social Security Administration. For many Americans, especially those who are retired or getting close to retirement, that single envelope is enough to raise an important question. Do I need to open this right away? Over the past several months, more people have been discussing Social Security letters online and with family members. Some are receiving benefit verification letters. Others are getting notices about changes to their records. Some are asked to review personal information. And for a smaller number of people, the letter may require action within a specific time frame. The important thing to understand is this: not every Social Security letter is bad news, but almost every official letter deserves your attention. Ignoring one without reading it could mean missing an important update, overlooking a deadline, or failing to correct information that affects your benefits. On the other hand, opening it, reading it carefully, and understanding what it actually says can often prevent unnecessary problems later. That's exactly what we'll cover today. We'll explain why these letters are arriving, what the most common notices mean, which ones require action, and how to tell the difference between routine information and something that deserves immediate attention. We'll also talk about one simple habit that many experienced retirees follow whenever they receive official mail from Social Security. It's surprisingly straightforward, yet it can save a great deal of confusion. First, let's answer the biggest question. Why are so many people talking about Social Security letters in the first place? The answer is simpler than many realize. The Social Security Administration sends millions of letters every year. These letters serve many different purposes. They may confirm that you've applied for benefits, explain a decision about your retirement claim, verify the amount of your monthly benefit, notify you about changes to your direct deposit information, or provide updates about Medicare deductions that come out of your Social Security payment. In other words, receiving a letter from Social Security is completely normal. What matters is understanding what type of letter you've received. Imagine two neighbors. Linda is 68 years old and has already been receiving retirement benefits for 3 years. Her neighbor Robert is 63 and plans to retire next spring. Both receive official envelopes from Social Security during the same week. Linda's letter simply confirms the amount of benefits she receives each month and serves as documentation she may need for another purpose, such as verifying income. Robert's letter, however, asks him to review information connected to his upcoming retirement application. Both envelopes look similar, but the actions they require are very different. That's why opening the letter and reading every page carefully is so important. Many people assume that if their monthly payment arrives on time, any letter from Social Security can wait. Sometimes that's true, but sometimes the letter contains information that has a response deadline. Missing that deadline may not always cause a serious problem, but it can delay processing or require additional paperwork later. We'll explain some examples shortly. Before we do, there's another point that's worth understanding. When people hear others talking about the Social Security letter, it can sound as though everyone is receiving the exact same notice. In reality, that's usually not the case. The Social Security Administration sends different letters to different people based on their individual circumstances. Your age, whether you've already claimed benefits, whether you're applying for retirement, whether you receive disability benefits, whether you're enrolled in Medicare, or whether you've recently updated your address or bank account. All of these situations can lead to different kinds of official correspondence. That's why comparing your letter with someone else's isn't always helpful. The notice your friend received may have nothing to do with yours. Instead, it's much more useful to understand the purpose of your specific letter. Here's another example. Suppose Mary recently moved to another state. She notified Social Security of her new mailing address. A few weeks later, she receives an official letter confirming that the address change has been processed. That's routine. Now imagine David recently filed for retirement benefits. He receives a letter asking him to review information related to his application. That's also routine. Although both letters come from Social Security, each serves a completely different purpose. Understanding that difference removes much of the anxiety people feel when official government mail arrives. There's another reason these letters attract attention. Unfortunately, scammers know that many Americans trust official-looking documents. Every year, criminals attempt to imitate government agencies by sending fake letters, emails, text messages, or making phone calls claiming to represent Social Security. The Social Security Administration has repeatedly warned the public to be cautious of scams that pressure people into making immediate payments, purchasing gift cards, sharing banking information over the phone, or providing personal details in response to unexpected requests. A genuine Social Security notice is very different. Official letters are designed to inform you about your account, your benefits, or a specific administrative matter. They don't demand that you pay with gift cards or cryptocurrency. They also don't rely on scare tactics to force instant action. That distinction alone can help many retirees avoid costly fraud. Later in this video, we'll discuss several simple ways to recognize whether a communication is likely legitimate and what steps you can take if you're ever unsure. But before that, let's focus on the letter itself. When you first open an official Social Security envelope, many people make the same mistake. They immediately search for one number. How much is my payment? While that's understandable, it's rarely the first thing you should look for. Instead, begin by reading the heading. What is the purpose of this notice? Next, identify whether the letter is simply providing information or asking you to do something. If action is required, look carefully for any dates or deadlines. Then review your personal information, including your name, mailing address, and any account details shown in the notice. Finally, read the explanation from beginning to end before deciding whether any response is necessary. That may sound obvious, but it's surprising how often misunderstandings happen because someone reads only the first paragraph and overlooks an important detail on the second page. Have you ever received a government letter that seemed confusing at first? You're certainly not alone. Government notices are often written to cover many situations at once, which can make them feel more complicated than they really are. One goal of this video is to translate those notices into plain English. For example, you may come across the word benefit. In simple terms, your benefit is the monthly payment you qualify to receive from Social Security based on your work history or other eligibility rules. Or you might see the phrase direct deposit. That simply means your Social Security payment is sent electronically to your bank account instead of arriving as a paper check. Understanding these terms makes every letter much easier to read. There's another detail many retirees overlook, and it can be more important than the letter itself: your Social Security record. Every benefit decision is based on the information contained in your Social Security record, including your earnings history, personal identification information, and benefit status. If any of that information is incorrect, even a small mistake should be addressed as soon as reasonably possible. Fortunately, many issues can be corrected once they're identified. The key is knowing they're there. That's one reason reading official correspondence carefully is so valuable. In the next part of this video, we'll walk through the most common types of Social Security letters people receive, explain exactly what each one means, and discuss which notices usually require action, and which ones are simply for your records. Along the way, we'll also look at a few practical examples that can help you feel more confident the next time an official envelope arrives. Now that we've talked about why these letters arrive and why they deserve your attention, let's look at the notices people receive most often. One of the biggest sources of confusion is that many letters arrive in envelopes that look almost identical. Yet the information inside can be completely different. Instead of assuming every notice means the same thing, it helps to think of them in three categories: informational letters, confirmation letters, action-required letters. Understanding which category your notice falls into is often the most important step. Let's begin with informational letters. These are among the most common notices the Social Security Administration sends. Their purpose is simply to keep you informed. For example, you may receive a letter confirming the amount of your monthly retirement benefit. You might receive an annual statement summarizing your earnings history or explaining your estimated benefits. Sometimes you'll receive a notice explaining that your Medicare premium, the amount deducted each month for Medicare Part B or other applicable Medicare coverage, is changing. Medicare Part B helps pay for doctor visits, outpatient care, preventive services, and many other medical services. These informational letters usually don't ask you to respond. Instead, they're intended to help you verify that your records are accurate and that you understand any changes affecting your benefits. That doesn't mean you should toss them in a drawer without reading them. Imagine Susan, who is 70 years old. She receives a benefit notice and notices that the direct deposit bank account listed isn't the one she currently uses. Perhaps she changed banks months ago and assumed everything had transferred correctly. By catching the discrepancy early, she can contact Social Security and confirm that her payment information is correct before it causes a future problem. Now consider another common type of notice: confirmation letters. These are sent after you've requested something. For example, you may have applied for retirement benefits, updated your mailing address, changed your direct deposit information, requested a replacement Social Security card, updated certain personal information. The confirmation letter simply tells you that your request has been received or processed. Think of it as a receipt from the government. Many people glance at these letters and assume there's nothing else to read. But sometimes the confirmation includes important details. Perhaps your retirement claim is still being reviewed. Maybe Social Security needs one additional document before making a decision. Or perhaps the letter tells you exactly when your benefits are expected to begin. Those details can make a significant difference in your planning. Now let's discuss the third category: action-required letters. These are the notices that deserve your immediate attention. That doesn't necessarily mean something is wrong. It simply means Social Security needs information from you before it can continue processing your case or updating your records. For example, the letter may ask you to verify your identity. It may request supporting documents. It may explain that additional information is needed before benefits can begin. Sometimes the letter includes a response deadline. If you receive this type of notice, don't panic. Instead, read it carefully from beginning to end. Many retirees become anxious after seeing words like "response requested." In reality, the requested action may be quite simple. It could involve providing a document that's missing from your application or confirming information that's already familiar to you. The important thing is responding within the time frame described in the notice, whenever possible. Here's another example. Suppose James files for retirement benefits shortly before his planned retirement date. A few weeks later, he receives a letter explaining that additional information is needed regarding part of his work history. James reads the letter the same day it arrives. He gathers the requested documents, submits them promptly, and his application continues moving through the review process. Now imagine a different situation. Another applicant places the unopened envelope on the kitchen table. A week turns into a month. Eventually, the letter is opened, only to discover that Social Security had requested information several weeks earlier. In many cases, situations like this can still be resolved, but the delay may slow the overall process. The lesson isn't to worry, it's simply to stay organized. One helpful habit is creating a dedicated folder for every Social Security document you receive. Some retirees prefer a physical folder. Others scan each letter and save it in a digital folder on their computer. Either approach works. The goal is to know exactly where your important documents are whenever you need them. Another good habit is writing the date you received the letter on the first page. Months later, if you need to reference it during a phone call or appointment, you'll have a clear timeline. Speaking of appointments, many viewers ask an important question. What if I don't understand the letter? That's completely understandable. Government notices aren't always written in the simplest language. If something isn't clear, avoid guessing. Instead, take your time. Read the notice again. Sometimes reading it slowly a second time answers many questions. If you're still unsure, you can contact the Social Security Administration using the official contact information provided by the agency. If the notice instructs you to respond through your secure online Social Security account, follow the directions provided in the letter. The key is to use official communication channels rather than phone numbers or links that arrive unexpectedly through text messages or emails claiming to represent Social Security. That brings us to another point many retirees overlook. Not every communication that mentions Social Security actually comes from the Social Security Administration. Scammers have become increasingly sophisticated. Some fake letters closely resemble official government correspondence. Others use convincing logos or urgent language designed to create panic. Fortunately, there are warning signs. For example, if someone contacts you unexpectedly and insists that your Social Security benefits will stop immediately unless you send money today, that's a major red flag. Likewise, requests to pay using gift cards, prepaid debit cards, cryptocurrency, or wire transfers are not consistent with legitimate Social Security procedures. Scammers often try to make you act before you have time to think. Official agencies generally encourage you to review information carefully and follow established procedures, not rush into a payment. Here's a simple question worth asking yourself whenever you receive any unexpected communication. Is this asking me to understand information, or is it trying to pressure me into acting immediately? That single question can help separate legitimate notices from many common scams. Now let's talk about another situation that surprises many retirees. Sometimes a letter doesn't announce a change at all. Instead, it simply documents one that's already taken place. For instance, after your retirement benefits begin, you may receive written confirmation summarizing your monthly payment amount, your payment schedule, or other account details. Even if nothing appears unusual, it's worth comparing those details with your own records. Small errors are uncommon, but reviewing your information gives you confidence that everything matches your expectations. Think of it the same way you would review your monthly bank statement. You probably don't expect a problem, but you still look it over. The same approach works well with Social Security notices. As we've seen, most letters are routine. Some simply provide information. Some confirm changes you've requested. A smaller number ask you to take action within a certain period. The challenge is knowing which is which. In the next section, we'll go a step further. We'll discuss several common mistakes retirees make after receiving Social Security letters, practical ways to stay organized throughout retirement, and one simple routine that can make handling official government mail much less stressful year after year. By now, one thing should be clear. Receiving a Social Security letter is not, by itself, a reason to worry. What matters is how you respond. Let's quickly cover a few simple mistakes that are easy to avoid. Mistake number 1, leaving the envelope unopened. Life gets busy, and it's tempting to set official mail aside for later. But even a routine notice may contain information you'll want to review while it's still fresh. Mistake number 2, reading only the first page. Many important details, such as explanations, instructions, or response dates, may appear on the second page or near the end of the letter. Always read the entire notice before deciding whether any action is needed. Mistake number 3, throwing the letter away too soon. Even if no response is required, keep the notice with your retirement records. You may need it later if you have questions about your benefits or need to verify information. Here's a simple system that many organized retirees use. When a Social Security letter arrives, they ask themselves 3 questions. What is this letter about? Does it ask me to do anything? Should I keep it for my records? Those 3 questions take less than a minute to answer, but they can prevent unnecessary confusion. Imagine Carol, who is 69 years old. She receives a letter confirming an update to her account. Instead of tossing it aside, she reads it carefully, checks that her personal information is correct, and files it with her other retirement documents. A few months later, when she has a question about her benefits, she already has the paperwork she needs. That small habit saves her both time and stress. One final reminder before we wrap up. If a letter ever seems unusual, don't rely on advice from social media or random online posts. The safest approach is to compare the information with your official Social Security account or contact the Social Security Administration directly using its official contact methods. A few minutes spent verifying information can provide much greater peace of mind than making assumptions. In the final part, we'll summarize the key takeaways, review the safest way to handle any future Social Security letter, and leave you with one practical habit that can help you stay confident and organized throughout retirement. Let's bring everything together. The Social Security letter everyone is talking about isn't necessarily a warning, and it certainly isn't something to fear. In most cases, it's simply the Social Security Administration communicating important information about your benefits, your records, or your account. The most important step is also the simplest. Open it. Read it carefully. Keep it for your records. If the letter is informational, you'll have peace of mind knowing everything is accurate. If it asks you to take action, responding promptly can help avoid unnecessary delays or confusion. And if something doesn't seem right, verify the information through official Social Security channels before making any decisions. Retirement comes with enough uncertainty. Understanding your Social Security notices is one practical way to stay informed and in control. Here's one habit worth remembering. Never ignore official mail from the Social Security Administration, but never panic because of it either. Read first, understand the purpose, and then decide whether any action is needed. Have you received a Social Security letter recently? Was it simply informational, or did it ask you to do something? Share your experience in the comments. It may help other retirees better understand what to expect. If you found this explanation helpful and want more clear, easy to understand updates on Social Security, Medicare, retirement planning, and other topics that matter to retirees, consider subscribing. Staying informed is one of the best ways to make confident decisions throughout retirement. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.